Now that we've got a few things in our home screen, if you look over to the left, you can see how the layers panel is lined up. We've got our frames. The menu currently has nothing. You can see it's just a frame. The home screen with this drop down, you can see has 3 layers in it. We've got the welcome to the Homemade Cookies app text. We've got the cookies logo and the rectangle that's above that background. You can see those when I click on them, they are highlighted. Once you've got a lot of layers, you might be able to locate them easily. You can also hide them with this visibility icon and see what it's like. For example, the darker background might be removed and you might have a look what that looks like. And you can see the difference if that's worth keeping in your final design. What we're going to do now is add another layer, and we're going to add a button to order some cookies. So for that, we are going to insert a shape. Okay, so beside the frames, we've got the images here and we've got rectangles. I'm going to do another rectangle and I'm going to draw it about here. If it's not centered, that's fine, because I've showed you before how we can center things up pretty easily. I'm doing roughly the size that I would like, which is about that. And then straight away, if I wanted, I can then move that to the left, and you see that center line there snapping. Also, if I drag it down, you can see that 111 pixel spacing between the logo and the text and my button, which is nice. It's not perfect because there is some transparency here, but that's okay. Okay, it's a good feature that Figma has. Now, for this color, I've got a basic gray button at the moment, not great. I would like to match it to my design. Okay, so I've got a lot of browns going on here. And what I can do, if I click that thumbnail up, which we've done a couple of times, and I've said you can drag around here to choose colors, you can also click the eyedropper here. What that does is it gets a color from something else that you've already put into your home screen. So if I click that eyedropper, you can see when I hover around, it's getting a sample of that color that I'm hovering on. So what I'm going to do, and the button is selected, I'm going to click on the brown that we've got in the Homemade Cookies logo, and you'll see that that dark brown is now applied. That looks a lot better. I might even try the lighter brown, see what that's like. No, I think the darker one's better. Okay, so that is using the eyedropper for the fill color. Now, another thing we can do with the rectangle, if we click it and zoom in, so I've just done a pinch to zoom in, you can see some circles appear, and they are the corner radiuses. Now that is also found over here with the button selected. It is here, and you can actually hover over this icon and click and drag to see it. And I'm keep dragging. Okay, and you can see those there. You can also use the circles here. So I'm going to go into about a 15, which I think is nice. And that looks pretty good. I'm also going to do the effects and do the drop shadow again, and just keep the default drop shadow like we've done previously. Once again, just so it pops from the background a little bit. Now, you can see this has appeared over here in our layers that we looked at before, and the rectangle is on top. And we need to add some text on top of that again. So we're going to add another layer and go text again, which we've done before. And I'm just going to click on the button, and I'm just going to say, I'm going to type order now in capitals, and then click off of that. And I've got my bounding box again. So when you drag it over, you can see that the text is centered on the page with the red guide, but also on the button, which is what we want. Now, if I try and stretch this out from the middle, you'll notice it just does the text box. So I'm going to undo that. What we need to do is change the text size. Okay, so if I've got that selected, I'm going over, and we've done this before. This is what we need to change. And I'm just going to go to 48 and then just recenter that. And that looks pretty nice there. Now back over to the layers, you can see the order of these layers. So I've got order now on top. If I click and drag that below my rectangle, it is literally below it on your user interface. So this is a top to bottom stack order of what you can see on your user interface. So I actually want that on top. So I'm going to click and drag up, and that's looking pretty good. To make sure these don't get separated, the order now and the rectangle, we want to group these. So I'm just going to zoom in, and I'm going to click the text, and I'm going to hold shift, and I'm also going to click the rounded rectangle. And you can see over to the left, on my layers, they are both selected. You can actually select them that way as well. Hold shift and click both. It's another way to do it. Now, after you've done that, you can right click and we can group selection. The shortcut is Command G or Control G on Windows. I'm going to group those and you'll see the layers change a bit over here. I've got group 1 and inside of that I've got the order now in the rectangle. I'm going to double click group 1 and call it the button and press return. Now the advantage there is they are together, they're going to be centered up, and if I want to create another button somewhere else or anything like that, they are together and I'm happy with how they look and they're not going to get separated by accident.